Who are 1 and 2 for you guys?
Mahomes and Allen.
I made a switch today, Allen and Mahomes.
Good for you, Dave. Good for you. Jamie, come on board. We can convince him. It's an easy case to make. Let's go Allen 1, Mahomes 2. Jamie, come on.
No, Mahomes better.
Okay.
I don't agree. I think Allen has proven
You
that
could be wrong. It's okay.
This is going to be an interesting decision for at least one person in every single fantasy draft this year, who you take first between the two, because you'll get to a point where you want to take a quarterback, whether it's because you believe that they're worth a first-round pick or because you get to a point where you hate everybody that's left at running back, receiver, and tight end when you get to round 3, which is where he went in our draft. And so you need to have some conviction on who you like better. I had my reasons for why I liked Mahomes better than Allen. I'm curious to hear yours, Jamie, why you've got Mahomes ahead of Allen.
Oh, I think for one, the passing offense is obviously better. There's no doubt about it. So you see what he's been able to accomplish when he's been healthy. I think the concerns going into this year of how would it look without Tyreek Hill, you don't have those concerns anymore. At least nobody should. Another 5,000-yard season for him. I don't know. It just, for me, it's just the tried and true nature of what Mahomes has been. He's been, I think, it's better than Allen 2 of the last 4 years, or they split to the last 4 years. Depends on what which.
So okay, well, Mahomes was better by 0.3 of a fantasy point this year. Last year, Allen was better than Mahomes by 2 full fantasy points.
Yeah, last year certainly was an outlier in terms of how they've been.
But they're both amazing.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's gotta be so. You're splitting hairs here. If you want to take Allen over Mahomes, I'm not going to fight you. They're both awesome. They're both the 2 best. It's why people are taking quarterbacks early. It's because of these 2. You could say Jalen Hurts and Burrow, but it's clearly these 2. They're safe. They're productive. They're amazing. So
they'll help you win your week.
I just the thing for me with Allen, I guess, is at some point the rushing is going to stop. And we've seen it even the last 2 weeks. The rushing has sort of disappeared. I don't know why, but if he's not rushing for touchdowns, he's not going to pass the same level as Mahomes. He's just not.
Nope.
Well,
that's true.
If people get a little, look, if you just look at the season for Josh Allen, there's a 10-yard game rushing. There's a 7. There's a 20. There's a 16. Those games happen, but he rushed for 762 yards in 16 games. I don't really think the rushing is going to slow down. And before the elbow, this is what it comes down to me. Last year, he was better than Mahomes. Before the elbow injury, he was better than Mahomes. And he was a lot. He was incredible. He was throwing for 300 yards per game. He was on pace for 5,100 yards and 40 passing touchdowns, in addition to 833 rushing yards and 8 rushing touchdowns. So it wasn't even close, really, before the elbow injury. And I do really think the elbow injury changed things. Really do. So that's the argument for me, is that Allen was better last year. And the elbow, what the hell just happened, by the way?
Jamie fumbled his phone.
And the elbow injury to me is what even made it close this year, because before that it was Allen by a mile, or not by a mile, but by enough.
By maybe like 1/8 of a mile. Let's not get winded here, okay? I'm not Heath. I love that he had a career high in rush attempts this year, 124. Last year he had 763 rush yards. This year 762. Literally 1 yard off of last year. The rushing yards can come down, but we've seen him perform with 600, 500, 400 rushing yards in a season. Those were his first 3 years in the NFL. Look at the touchdown production. That's what I'm excited about. And I don't think that slows down unless the Bills make a major adjustment at running back this offseason.
But they're trying.
I think they add another player, but I don't know if it's necessarily going to be like, are they going to add Jamal Williams with the idea that he'll be their new short yardage goal line guy and that he'll just handle it all?
I don't think it's that.
I don't think so either. I think anything short of that leaves the door open for Josh Allen to get between 7 and 9 rushing touchdowns.
I'm sure a lot's going to depend on how they finish the season. If they win a Super Bowl and they do it their way, nothing's going to change. Right. If they fall short again, you have to see, okay, what's the problem here? Why are we getting on the doorstep and not getting through? And is it because they're not giving him more support? And by doing that, I mean, giving him more support with some semblance of a rushing attack. Sean McDermott's still a defensive head coach. They've had a new offensive coordinator this year. There's been obviously some complaints. You look at how this Dolphins game just unfolded, where it seemed as if he didn't know what he was doing, Ken Dorsey, at points in the game. Why are you throwing shots down the field when you have a 17-point lead and everything was working well for you? So I'm curious. They probably need to give some more help in the passing game too. Because the Gabe Davis experiment hasn't exactly been what they hope for.
Yeah.
So
but that's part of the elbow injury because he's been pretty good.
What was Gabe Davis like before the elbow injury?
You say that though. Is he more of a number 3 receiver as opposed to a number 2?
He's a deep threat. He's not a number 2.
Do they need more of a and it could be they bring back Cole Beasley. Maybe it's Khalil Shakir getting a bigger role. Isaiah McKenzie has had some moments, but he obviously didn't take the step. I think that we kind of were expecting to see. Dawson Knox, he kind of disappeared a little bit at the beginning part of the season.
Now he stepped
up.
What are we doing here? What are we doing? What are we doing? Analyzing every player on the team. We know what Josh.
Well, but that's part of it because this is going to be such a tough decision between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes.
You look
at
down
to these little things.
The flip side of it though, where Mahomes' numbers have still been pretty consistent with a retread group of guys.
So have Allen's, but Allen's been a top 3 quarterback per game 3 straight years, top 2 overall 3 straight years. But
a lot of that is because of his rushing, and if the rushing starts to disappear,
it's not going to. Why would the rushing?
But you say that though. I mean,
why would it disappear?
Because you want to preserve him and make sure that he's not getting hurt.
It's him. I mean, that's what he does. He runs, and honestly, he was before the elbow injury. He was throwing the ball almost 40 times per game. And 37.3 pass attempts per game, on pace for 5,100 yards. So yeah, if he runs less, and he wasn't running less, but I'm saying like he will throw the ball. He will be a prolific passer. All right. Anyway, Allen,
he's a great passer. I don't want to make it sound like I don't think he's a great passer. He's obviously can still be a top 2 quarterback with just his passing alone. But the thing that separates him,
I don't know if he can.
The thing that separates him from Mahomes is his rushing.
Yes. But but it was encouraging for me that his passing was almost as good as Mahomes, is better than any other quarterbacks. How many times have I said before the elbow injury? It's like take a drink. But before the elbow injury, I mean, again, 37.3 pass attempts per game. That's insane. 5,100 yards, 40 touchdowns. That was his pace. And conversely, after the elbow injury, his pace was 3,995 yards. You were talking about an 1,100 yard pace. The 1,100 yard difference in 17 game pace at the time of the elbow, like before and after the elbow.